reasons that are unclear.
Yeah, I'm guessing the pick order was just wrong. No
Yeah,
big deal.
that's what I think. But it looks like we are going to start in just a second here.
Yeah, and
There
we
we
are
go.
in Champ Select now. Just going to get that up on the screen.
Yep, there we are, guys.
Yeah, there we are.
And the first band Vi coming through.
Vi, okay, interesting. So Vi was actually...
Vi was played last game.
Yeah, it was on the other side.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I got confused. Yeah, so Clambassadors
they
playing
swapped
that
sides,
Vi.
Adam.
The Vi actually was
you watch a lot
pretty
of
effective.
This can't be confusing to you. Yeah, Vi was...
honestly, the ganks were quite strong early on. That's the Leona ban. Again,
Leona
just a comfort pick.
Yep, a targeted ban.
Thresh banned away from H-Roll. We'll see what they ban next.
We've seen H-Roll's Thresh. It's been pretty scary.
Yeah, just getting some great hooks, blind hooks, hooks over the wall.
Oh yeah, and I'm having my fingers crossed right now for the Singe ban. Rek'Sai ban, okay, not the worst of bans.
And just a very strong champion. Like again, Jarvan. Leona and Jarvan and Vi all targeted against the champion pools of several members.
Yeah, and Jarvan in general, Jarvan just in general being a good flex and
Leona,
a great utility
Jarvan,
jungler.
Excellent team fighters. Really good, and that's the Katarina ban.
Katarina
ban.
Oh my! Oh, the insta-lock Kalista!
I'm so excited.
This is gonna be so fun. Extra tricky. Extra tricky to pull out the moves, guys. He has been a very consistently performing AD carry throughout this entire tournament. So I'm very excited to see how he does on this Katarina.
Fire that high hovering that Heimerdinger.
Are we gonna see the donger? Are we gonna see
Maybe. He mained Heimerdinger in Season 4, 93 ranked games on it, I think.
Ooh.
In comparison to about 20 on his next most played, but that's the Zyra. So Zyra probably a safer pick here.
I would love to see the donger.
Morgana hover.
Maybe not the donger support, but
well, I mean, he could take it into the mid lane. That wouldn't be surprising. Not the first time that he would have played mid lane. Heimerdinger would be pretty fun, and actually could be decent against the Kalista. Kalista, not the longest range carry.
That's true.
Can't jump away from the turrets.
What I actually want to see is him taking it into the jungle. Because we all know the true power of Heimerdinger is in the jungle.
You know, it's been a bit long since Pumanji took that into the jungle, and so they're going to pick up the Zyra and the Kassadin once again.
Ooh, the Poppy being hovered.
I don't like Poppy. I gotta be honest with you.
We haven't seen enough of either team comp to really judge Poppy's strengths and weaknesses. Yeah. So instead, I'm going to talk about jungle Heimerdinger. For those of you who don't know the story, which I imagine is most of you, way back when, I think this was around Season 2, when this was before CJ Entis acquired Azubu, Blaze, and Frost, and CJ Entis just had a team of their own called CJ Entis. Now, some of you might remember Kumandu from SKT. He was actually the jungler for that team. And he gained fame very early in his career for pulling out a jungle Heimerdinger game in, I think, the semifinals of some random tournament.
Pretty sure they actually won that game.
They won that game in 18 minutes. It was pretty really funny.
Cool strategy, and that's the singed pickup once again.
Oh boy.
For Marl Chartel. Is that a mid Riven? Ooh. That would be really neat. And that would be a great pick into Kassadin. Mid Riven should. Because the Kassadin Q does nothing to Riven. She can just.
Yep.
And plus, she does physical damage.
Kassadin has a very even lane against tanks and a losing lane against Riven. So this is a very good response to the Kassadin as well. And hey, Adam, Heimerdinger is good against Sinch, man.
I suppose that's true.
But I think
Ezreal or Corki hover now. That's the Nocturne lock-in for Sarnoble. So one of his favorite junglers. So not surprised to see that lock-in.
Yeah.
They're going to be looking for, I don't know, maybe assassinations with that. The Nocturne Kassadin, probably a very strong dive duo. That's probably going to try to get on top of that Kalista, though that's not always the easiest of things.
Well, Nocturne finds it pretty easy to get on top of Kalista. It's just a bit harder to stay on her. Ooh.
I would love to see Kalista Annie.
Oh, it might be.
If you think about it, Kalista Annie, you throw the Annie into...
No, Kalista Annie is great. But what I'm really excited for, this might be a jungle Riven and a mid Karma.
Or it could be a jungle Karma. Pio Pouvoir has pulled this out in the past. I would be really excited to see it. So that's the jungle Sejuani. Or Nidalee.
Oh, yes, the jungle Nidalee. Oh, yes, please.
I think right now we're being trolled a little bit. The jungle Nidalee would be lovely to see, and that's the Sejuani lock-in. Now, I think this is a good pick. So with the mid-Riven, they do sacrifice a little bit of magic damage from having a mage in the mid lane. However, However, the Sejuani and the Singe both, and the Annie too,
provide
a lot of AoE magic damage. So
Jungle Nidalee got a huge buff in 5.2, by the way. If you guys haven't tried it, look up a guide. Please look up a guide first and just try it out. It's pretty funny. But Mid Karma actually is one of my favorite champions, so I'm a little sad that we're not going to get to see this pulled out. But I think that Clambassadors has managed to pull out a very solid team composition.
Honestly, if it were the Karma, I'm pretty sure it would be going to the jungle. Biowar actually plays a lot of jungle Karma both this season and in season 4. I did look in his match history for the record.
Oh man.
I'm still really excited to see this Mid Riven though. I haven't seen that since early season 4. Of course, Mid Riven, the famed Zed counter pick from season 3 Worlds, pulled out by Faker, where he trounced Reggie in lane, which was really funny actually.
Jace.
And that's a Jace pickup for LIGO File. He picked this up in the semifinals as well. Was actually reasonably successful against a Gnar in lane. We'll have to see how this goes against the Singe. Jace probably can beat us on the Singe early on.
I don't like this right now. I would much rather the Jace go into the mid lane.
Really?
So Jace has a much better matchup against Riven than Kassadin, and Singe honestly is going to do extremely well against Jace after about 6 or 7 minutes. Jace will have the hook advantage early, then Singe gets a defensive item, and he can just run at him and make him take a lot of damage. So I do not agree with the laning choice. Oh, actually, Lycophile with the Ignite, Infinite Story with the TP. So we're either going to see a mid TP or they're just going to swap lanes.
I think I agree with you. I think they should definitely send the Kassadin to the top lane. And this is a flex sort of situation.
Yeah, this is very flex situation.
Swap off.
We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But I would much rather see Jace mid Kassadin top than
we should note,
the opposite.
Once again, a lot of mobility built up onto them. Also, as some people in Twitch chat pointed out, we should mention Galactic Trendsetters did sub in Sir Noble for Airy Day.
Yep.
So we'll see how it goes for them.
Yep, we will see how it goes for them. I'm excited for the Callista Annie.
Yeah, I love that combo. You can throw Annie into the team, get the knock-up, and then Annie bounces back to her auto-attack range.
Which is enormous, for the record.
True, but then she can just step forward. Because of the knock-up, she has more than enough time to land a beautiful Tibbers if well played.
Yeah, you know, I used to play a lot of Annie, and honestly, her auto-attack range is not that different from her spell range, which is actually what makes this combo so brilliantly and simply perfect.
We did see
you literally bounce off them and you are already in range to unload your entire combo. It's just really cool. It's a lot of fun.
No, so against Team Liquid in week 2 of LCS, Cloud9 actually pulled out the Callista Annie combos.
Oh, was that Annie?
Yeah, it was Annie. Now, granted, I can't really measure the effectiveness because they got a huge lane and lead. Piglet forgot his masteries, so he was down by about 30 CS really early on.
Oh no.
So Sneaky was just really fed that game. That being said, it was really fun to watch, and I mean, Callista, love seeing Callista.
Callista's always really fun to watch. Even in like the early mid game, you can rend dragons for like 700 or 800.
Yeah, damage. That's another thing with Callista. You cannot outsmite Callista.
Objectives made easy, guys. If you are tired, if your jungler missing smite and solo queue, play Callista.
Great marketing there, Fred.
Yeah, I should work for it.
No, it's true. Callista, what you see, especially come mid-game, late-game, Callista will use Rend and hit Dragon and Baron for
thousands of damage. Literally thousands of damage.
It's impossible to contest that. You have to fight them and hope to kill Callista.
And even
just because Rend stacks infinitely.
Yep.
That's
honestly, even if you do fight them, like the Callista can participate in the fight and still be in Rend range for the Baron.
Yeah.
So that's pretty scary. We're gonna have to see how this works out.
Hoping to see Riot remove that mechanic. Maybe cap.
I think an 800 damage cap would be reasonable.
I agree. Even a 1000 damage cap, as long as you can't outsmite. As long as your damage isn't higher.
Yeah. Well, my problem with 1000 damage is that it would always be higher than or equal to smite, which just is not appealing to me.
That's true, but you have the same thing with something like Feast or Consume sometimes.
Well, Consume scales up, Feast is that's what Feast is designed to do. This is not. I'm 98% sure that this is not Ren's intended usage.
I guess that's true.
So, also you have to be in melee range for Feast.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm pretty sure Feast has a smaller range than Cho's auto attack.
Yeah, it's a really small range. Same with Consume, actually.
Yeah. But yeah, let's talk about these team comps.
So I like the team fighting, or I don't know about the team fighting. I'm trying to think about this actually. The Riven is going to be a strong champion in lane, though against the Jace, I don't know how that matchup goes. I don't know that it's good for Riven.
It's I would call it a skill matchup. It depends how much poke Riven can dodge and how good Jace is at using his E to knock back Riven and interrupt the combo and just avoiding damage to begin with.
Yeah, Riven is one of those champions that has a tremendous skill cap, honestly.
Yeah, it is not the greatest matchup for either champion. So I'm interested to see how this works out.
Yeah, definitely. Meanwhile, very excited, of course, to see that Kalista is singed again. Going to be a big split pushing power.
Yep.
And however, this time I think. Oh wait, no, the Riven's on their team. So I would say they're going to go for the 1-3-1 split push once the Riven scales up.
Makes sense.
Riven a very strong split pusher as well, especially if she builds stuff like Hydra, Ghostblade.
Which Hydra's very core on Riven.
Yeah.
Going to tentatively assign Kassadin.
I would say Kassadin and Jace, or maybe Kassadin and Nocturne will be the options to try and counter that. And I think they will be able to, at the very least, hold off the split push.
Yeah.
So Kalista, of course, going to bind to Annie. That's going to be very good for their laning. And
well, the Black Spear has some very interesting properties, actually. In that when you target a champion to bind with it, I don't know if they patched this or not, but when you target a champion to bind with it, you used to actually just like make them stop and stand there.
Yeah, no, that's
so I've seen it used to say kill junglers in their first camp.
I have seen
kill
that.
supports.
It's really funny. I don't do this until like you guys.
It's really bad. Don't let's not. I'm not into that.
Clambassadors changing up their strategy this time. They might be looking for it.
But Lagophile is here.
He is going to spot them if they come through there. And as is Neely Neil and Fire back.
Oh, actually, they do spot them heading into the rush, so they know. They know about this.
Yeah, so it would be a bit of a dangerous invade. We'll see if they go for it. I think only 4 right now.
Yeah, I think they either should charge in S5 or head out of the brush the other way.
Yeah.
They do have a mana advantage here, though.
They do definitely have a mana advantage. If they go for it, they will be able to steal this.
They are going to go for this, and...
Yeah, they're just going to have to back up.
Oh, really good grasping roots.
That was an incredible grasping roots there.
Really good, really good.
Extra tricky starting with that vision with the Sentinel.
It's not bad for laning, honestly, especially with Annie's auto attack range.
It's going to give you vision, but also going to feed Jace his first CS. So that's a huge CS lead there. An infinitely high CS lead right now for that Jace.
But no, Sentinel's passive is really good for laning.
That's true. That is
especially with Annie with the massive auto attack range. Yeah. That's gonna come in handy.
Yeah, if you both auto the same target, that's bonus damage. It's really powerful.
And what I discovered when I was playing Kalista actually is
my god, are we gonna see this? We've seen this before.
Oh yes, this is so. No, don't tell them.
Yeah, so Biopavar
smiting
the
so
Krug.
Good.
I love to see this.
So
but good. Now handing it over to Extra Tricky, who's going to take that giant experience advantage into lane.
Yeah, well, it's not going to be an advantage. Well, Fire Baptize is going to take a ton of damage from this, actually.
Ooh, they're going to be pretty low, but they're going to get that Gromp. So Neely Neil also going to have that level 2. Yeah. So, going to
they're actually splitting the experience here. Interesting.
Yeah, well, they also will get to lane first, so they should... They shouldn't be too far behind.
Wow, X-Patriot getting really poked down early, and
gotta love the Jace pick. I think it was a good pick.
It's a good Jace pick. I do expect Jace to win this matchup early.
I think this was an excellent draft actually from Galactic Trendsetters, picking the Kassadin but adds a flex.
Yep.
So you can take him into the top or into the mid lane, which lets them deal with the Riven.
Wow, X-Patriot burning through all of his potions already. Wow.
Yeah, great job by Lagophile. Already setting up that pressure. Infinite Story and Mars Hotel going at it. Infinite Story should actually be able to deal with this Singe, at least early on, because of that damage shield.
I mean, we did talk about this in Champ Select. Neither Singe nor Riven have a very strong, like, very, very early laning phase, but they should be able to scale up.
Oh my god, Marl's Hotel going very low.
I mean, Infinite Story not exactly the healthiest person alive.
Yeah. That's
Chernobyl, man.
X-Patriot starting to pick up some CS. Chernobyl going really low, but he should be fine. He does have that passive, which does heal him a little bit in that jungle.
Yep, Infinite Story gonna chug pots. Marsh Hotel gonna chug pots. It's kind of the story of this game right now.
Marsh Hotel was a level advantage, but also the damage advantage definitely for Infinite Story.
Oh yeah.
X-Patriot and Lagophile. X-Patriot's just going to keep getting bullied. There's not much to do.
Marsh Hotel starting with way more sustain than Infinite Story. This is what I was talking about last game too. You burn the pots from the other laner, and if you still have pots left, even if you took some losing trades, you are going to have more staking power in this lane now. That's really key.
No, honestly, it's kind of, you're basically using your health as a resource.
Yes, exactly.
Which is it's a really smart thing. You're just using your health as a resource to start farming. It helps you deal with the fact that your laning isn't necessarily the strongest.
Yep, looks like extra tricky. Alright, she's gonna hold the lane here.
Okay. Yeah. They're actually, wow, that's a huge CS lead over Neil.
Yeah, I mean, like, they took so much damage from the Gromp.
Yeah. And now they're going to, and also, good job by Extra Tricky and Neutral, just not pushing that wave as long as they could.
Yeah.
Neil going to catch up on experience and CS a little bit here.
Yeah, he's gonna get a lot here. But yeah, like, I just want to talk about what Biokubar did at level 1. Smiting the Gromp for the Gift of Heavy Hands buff, and helping his laners secure that golden experience without taking too much damage. Yeah, I love this. We saw this in the semifinals, and it was one of my favorite plays of the night. That was just so cool to watch.
Yeah, Cernoble maybe looking for a gank, but Nocturne before level 6, not the best of gankers unless it's a counter gank.
Well, they actually buffed him. They gave him the movement speed towards fear targets.
Oh, that's true.
So that does help his early ganks a little bit, but...
Yeah, but it's still... The issue with him is... You know, if he gets in there, he has actually a very strong ganking presence. It's just, it takes him a fair amount of time to close that gap. Even if
he's also
you know, he does get the movement speed from his Q. However, that's usually not enough to close the gap, and you can usually just back off of him before he can get to the fear tether.
Though Firebat Pie on Zyra is very good at setting up ganks.
That's true. If anyone can set them up, it's Zyra. Yeah. But as long as they just have that one river ward for now, that'll be enough. However,
that'll be enough for now.
Once he hits 6, you do need to ward differently against Nocturne because he ganks from a different location. And if he ganks up the lane, there's nothing you can do to ward him.
Yep, and we see Marl Shortel.
Same concept as Cyan and
Pantheon.
And Rengar.
And Rengar, okay.
I mean, if you're ganking on Rengar, you always come up the lane. You can't risk going into stealth while in vision because then they know you're coming.
But Adam, you come behind the turret to surprise them, right?
No. I don't recommend that. Cernoble may be looking for a gank in the mid lane. Expatriate.
Ooh, really Expatriate going in. Burns his Q cooldown. He might be able to. Yeah, he passed the fire.
Yeah, that was excellent timing though by Cernoble going in. I don't think they expected to get the kill, but they were easily able to burn that
flash burn with minimal effort. That's a win. Yeah. And Marl Shortel going back with a lot of potions. Used all of them actually, and gets that 5-star, so he's going to be able to delay out of the story a little bit too. Both these top laners going to go for the scaling Rod of Ages item, so
makes sense.
Not going to expect too much action or damage out here. And I just want to take a minute to see the Callista. Maxing the Rend, okay.
Yeah, it makes sense.
We've seen a lot of diversity in Callista builds. I honestly think all 3 of her abilities are viable to max.
Yeah, usually you see her max either the Q for the burst or Rend for the whatever it is. Yep. I'm also interested to see how the Callista builds.
Well, so Ren just has a lot of utility and damage in general.
Yeah. No, I'm really curious to see the build path though.
Yep.
Usually you either see the Blade of the Rune King or the Hurricane Rush.
Oh boy, Hurricane Rush, my favorite build ever.
So the problem is if you fall behind with that build, you just don't do damage.
I mean, you don't do that much damage anyways. Firebat Pie taking a lot of damage, has to burn that heal. Is actually gonna get the steal. Oh, and he actually gets the kill. Meanwhile, he's maxing mid lane. Cernoble coming in, Expatriate and Cernoble both going down. And we see Neil trying to flash in to get the kills, but he just cannot find the damage. Atrol flashes with the stun, actually extra tricky. Oh, Atrol actually picking up that kill. Ren not doing enough damage. But wow. Massive outplay in bot lane by the Clambassadors.
Yeah. Well, Firebat Pie stepped too far forward, and this is the danger with Zyra. Excellent support, however, very squishy. Same idea as Sonnen. Stepped too far forward, and he does a lot of burst.
Yeah, I think Galactic Trendsetters really outplayed their hand in bottom lane. First with the Zyra stepping forward, and then the Corki flash forward. They need to not do that.
And especially because, I mean, look at the CS difference in that bot lane. 66 to 27. That is...
Marl Shortel going really aggressive, actually. The story not going to walk into the poison for long enough.
Has to be very careful. If Marl Shortel gets in flip range, that's a kill. But he's just going to...
Oh, he actually goes for it. I don't think he has enough mana. He was rip talking. Oh my god, Marl Shortel's picking up the solo kill. Cernoble coming out on the side. He's going to have the minion wave to help him get out, though.
Yeah, Cernoble does have his ultimate, but I don't think he has enough damage to finish this kill.
Yeah, and honestly, the story of this game right now is the CS discrepancy in bot lane. Like that was all caused by the Gromp doing so much damage.
Also, right now, every lane except mid winning. Yeah. And This is going to be a scary Callista. So picking up the
Oh no, it's the Hurricane build.
But I think it's actually good in this game because she's getting ahead.
Yeah.
Hurricane Rush is basically impossible to deal with once you get ahead. And it's not just about being able to stack random multiple targets at the same time, though that's great. It's also just Hurricane gives you a tremendous amount of attack speed, and Callista's mobility scales directly with her attack speed. Like the speed with which she can run around you comes directly from her attack speed because of the way she works.
Yeah. Oh, Cernoble going in. Wow, gets the kill right away with the burst damage from Q auto attack.
Did a great job poking down Expatriate, and then it was easy kill for Cernoble. Yeah, so I actually like this. I think it's because of the lead here for Extra Tricky. I think Hurricane Rush is the right idea.
Okay.
I think if Extra Tricky were even or losing in lane, it would be better to get the blade first.
Okay, I can respect that. We also want to look at the level discrepancy in bottom lane. Level 7 to level 5, so that's going to hurt for a while.
They have to be really careful. If Extra Tricky gets a good ultimate, then April guarantees the Tibbers, and that's a really good engage. Marl's Cartel is going to do dirty farming. Infinite Story.
Well, Infinite Story's out of mana. That's the problem. He doesn't have enough mana built right now to deal with this, and he's just going to get tossed around a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh my god, Cernoble April on a killing spree! That is some bloodthirsty support play right there, man.
I'm not sure if he just... they did not have a ward to see that. Because that ward... You see that
That ward was just placed. Yeah, I think he just got
and the
lucky
other ward
with
was also placed at Ocean. That ward just got placed. Yeah. I think that was just a really good guess by them, or just good timing trying to get that. Oh, Marlo.
Yeah, ooh, Marlo Chartel in a little bit of trouble here. Infinite Story gonna have enough mana.
Yeah, he's going to be able to walk to finish this. Nicely played.
Yeah, that was just Marlo Chartel overstaying a little bit. Infinite Story actually went back to base and came back to lane full health and full mana.
I was going to say that was just really good timing trying to get that vision by April, and that was an easy kill. Just.
Yep, guys. Once again, warding is dangerous, guys. Warding is bad.
Yeah, don't ward. So yeah, Annie does a lot of burst, and actually with a haunting, guys, that's going to really help the damage output. You know, if you can't build a lot of AP, penetration is a really good way to go a lot of the time.
Very cost effective.
Yeah, very cost effective. It will really amplify your damage. Very efficient.
Yep. Oh man, I do remember this one game we played with the support Annie on the other team. We went like legendary in laning phase or something like that. Yeah, and just built a death cap out of laning, and we were just like, okay, this game's over.
Yeah, I didn't have a fun time.
I don't think any of us had a fun time.
It was also 4v5, but that was not why we lost.
Yeah, moral of the story, support Annie, guys. Really scary if you get ahead.
Yeah, that's a 3-0 support Annie.
Oh god, she's gonna do so much damage.
In mid lane. I actually, Ligophile and Cernoble have been doing a good job in this mid lane.
Spell shields the Riven ultimate, but has to flash away anyways. Now Expatriate is gonna go back onto Ligophile actually. Can Ligophile find the damage here actually? Oh yes, he's gonna get the damage with the Ignite. Gets the kill, gets out. You know, barely.
Just praising them and
Bio Pouvoir lands the ultimate and cleans up the kill.
Max range Sejuani ult. Nicely played. I was just about to praise, like, Ligophile and Cernoble have been doing a great job keeping the Riven down, which is an important thing. Riven is not a champion you want snowballing at all. Infinite Story also doing an excellent job against the Singe. He is not nearly the monster. He is going to pick up the turret though, but Infinite Story is also scaling up.
Marlon Chartel changing up his build this game, going for a tier this time.
Yeah, interesting. So, tier is an interesting item on Singe. Singe obviously scales excellently with mana because he gets a lot of bonus health off of it.
Yeah.
At the same time, however, often if you get a rod, a tier just is kind of unnecessary.
Infinite Story might not actually have enough damage to finish him.
That's kind of surprising. He does have enough mana to get away, though.
And we see a pause coming in. Looks like Bio Pouvoir. Gonna DC. MIT Internet, very well known for having some issues with both Skype and League of Legends. So we're sorry about that, guys. We're gonna work on getting this game back to you as soon as we can.
In the meantime...
Yeah, in the meantime...
Let's take stock of what's happening. So,
yeah.
Galactic Trendsetters are doing something very well, but that bot lane is getting a bit out of control. So, a lot of credit to Cernoble and Ligophile doing a great job against this Riven. Jace is probably at this point going to be the key to keeping them in this game.
Yeah, and Jace. I mean, we've all seen how much damage Jace poke does in the mid game onwards. Like, Jace's mid game power spike is ridiculous and just continues growing basically.
Yeah, and he's got his tier, so he's starting to scale up. He will probably be getting that mana immune soon.
And he's actually ahead right now.
Yeah, so. And usually we see the Mirror Mana upgrade around 20-ish minutes.
Yep.
So that's going to be a big power spike, plus the Brutalizer for that flat penetration. I would expect to see a Last Whisper as well coming out after he finishes the Mana Immune. And usually CDR boots are common on Jace.
Mm-hmm. Or Merc Treads, either one.
So Jace poke is really powerful. Even when you're behind, it can help quite a bit.
It's very good in the more kind of... The thing is that Clambassadors don't have a very good siege composition. Similarly to last game, they can dive extremely well, but their siege is not very good. So if they actually don't manage to get the right dive off, or if Jace manages to poke them down too much before they get the dive, that's going to allow Galactic Trendsetters some windows to come back into this game.
Yeah, no, Clambassadors is a good dive comp, but Zyra is always very dangerous to dive if she gets the right off.
That is also very true. That's also very true.
Also, just interesting to note the gold differences here. The big lead right now is in that bot lane. The AD carry and the support have very far ahead of their lane.
The lane counterparts, yeah.
Now Corki will get his mid-game power spike. It just won't be nearly as spiky because he's behind.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be equivalently spiky. It'll just probably be a bit less impactful.
Meanwhile, April on his Annie getting fed. Now, usually you don't like to see kills on the supports because the supports just don't scale as well with
But Annie, man, like, you can just build damage and go ham.
Yeah, I was going to say, Annie is probably the worst support to get fed because, you know, she's just going to build AP.
Like, if you guys have some free time, like, it can just pretend Tibbers doesn't do burn damage and look at Annie's AP skillings anyways. They are completely ridiculous.
Yeah, plus big nerfs to Tibbers, big buffs to Tibbers.
Yeah.
In 5.2. I really like it, actually. It makes Tibbers tankier, so things like using Tibbers to tank turret more powerful now.
750 move speed Tibbers, guys! The dream! The dream is alive!
I love it. I'm a big fan of that.
You don't need Captain Boots anymore. Oh man, I remember when I used to be like, but if you get Captain Boots on Annie, Tibbers gets such a huge move speed up, and Adam was like,
but
no.
Distortion is just too good on Annie to pass out.
Yeah, I know.
Flash Tibbers, such an incredible initiation. Though with the Callista, you don't strictly need the Flash anymore.
Yep, that is another part of the power here. Callista, late game, gonna be on a much shorter cooldown than Flash.
Yeah, so will be interesting to see.
Yep, and Singed ult is, I think, that should be off cooldown a couple of times by now, right? Considering how long this pod's been going on. Singed ulting through the entire thing, so man, he's really chugging that potion. Jeez, guys.
This is probably the longest Singed ultimate I have ever seen in my life.
Well, given that Singed ultimates tend to be either the duration of Singed ultimate, or in some cases shorter than the duration of Singed ultimate because he dies, I would tend to agree with you.
Also, that infinitely stacking tier right there.
Oh man, that is an interesting little quirk of the spectator UI. Like, if you look at the tier down here, the cooldown's just refreshing, basically.
I somehow doubt that it'll actually be stacked.
Yeah, too bad he's not actually getting stacks for it.
Yeah, so actually we were talking about this build. I actually don't mind this. So he's skipping the Rod of Ages this game. I assume he's not getting one because it's a bit late for that power spike to work. However, he's going to get the health from the Rylai's plus the mana from the tier, and I really like tier on Singed. It synergizes really well with his kit. The problem is usually you just don't have an item slot for it because you need all these other items. However, once you have that Seraph's Embrace, that's 1,000 extra mana, which is extra mana. I give up. But you also, if you look at Singed passive, he gets a lot of health from his bonus mana. And
yeah, he does.
Bonus mana from his health or something like that?
No, just health.
Oh, sorry, my bad. So still, that's a tier. On most champions, tier doesn't give you combat stats. On Singed, it does, though.
Yep.
So yeah, I think this is a reasonable build. If you're not going to go Roa, this is probably the way to go.
Yeah,
that being said, Rod of Age is really efficient on Singed as well.
Yeah, come on, guys. Like, Singed, as we see in the Twitch chat, Singed just wants to give you a hug, and it is called Seraph's Embrace, so the synergy obviously coming out very strong here, Adam.
Yeah, sure.
I can just see, like, the gears turning in his head as he's just, like, trying to figure out what in the world I'm talking about.
Also, something to know.
Okay,
so it looks like we have, before getting back into the game,
yep,
just a computer crash. So I'd also like to point out the fact that at the moment, Bio Pouvoir with a Sightstone and Atrial not. So I wonder if Atrial will get the Sightstone so they will have excellent vision control, or they're just actually going to rely on the jungler instead of the really fed Annie.
Oh, I really hope he gets the Sightstone.
Yeah, me too. Double Sightstones is incredibly strong. I should know because I get Sightstone on pretty much every jungler. I actually sometimes outward my support when I'm the jungler, which I'm very proud of myself for.
Yeah, when I play support or jungle, I tend to play something like 60 wards every game, which is...
I can't say I place that many because my games are usually too short to place that many.
That's legit. That probably means you're a better player than me.
Oh, wow. If you look at also... Since we're just talking about item builds right now, because that's what we have to talk about. Corki with a double longsword, so...
Ooh, it looks like, he might just not be going for the Triforce after all.
Triforce?
Hydra? Hydra?
No. I'm curious to see what he builds.
Yep.
I'm not sure how I feel about this. Corki just kind of needs that Trinity Force. It lets you do an awful lot more damage. Just with those rockets, with that rocket spam. Also, you're just... Corki is an 80 carry who does an awful lot of magic damage. You're not going to scale nearly as well with 80 carry items as other 80 carries. For instance, Callista,
Yeah, well, all of his abilities have 80 ratio. Oh, except Valkyrie. All of his abilities for Valkyrie actually have 80 ratios now.
That's true. But still, it's...
I'm just curious about what the double longswords is actually building into.
I'm wondering if it's like a Brutalizer. I've seen
Brutalizer
Black Cleaver on Corki, but I don't like it.
Black Cleaver on Corki is actually good in the late game because it has really good synergy with Gatling Gun.
I guess that's true.
Not in the early game though, guys. Early game Brutalizer Corki is really bad, and it's even worse if you're behind. Most of the time with bad builds, I would suggest you try them at home at least once, just to screw around. I don't even recommend Brutalizer Corki. It's not good. It's not awful. It's just not fun. It's not a very good build, guys.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
Yeah, but I can't think of anything that builds out of pickaxe and 2 longswords.
I mean, it could be that one longsword is for a vamp stick and another for a phage or something. I don't know.
Or Hydra.
Yeah, no. Just no.
Oh man. Maybe this is a new boot upgrade we haven't heard about yet.
No. So let's see what else is going on.
Local. Ooh, game's been unpaused, so it looks like Bio Pouvoir has gotten back into the game. And we're gonna see Marl Chartel continue his little chase up in the top lane. I don't think he's going to want that turret dive. Oh, Sir Noble actually coming in. Can Marsh get out? Nope, secures the kill with the smite. Well...
nice counter gank there.
Yeah, a little bit of an well, not really a counter gank, just mostly a counter. Oh, the 2-man Timbers landing from Atrial. That is going to be so much damage. Atrial with the double kill, 5-0 on support Andy now. Man, he's having a monster of a game. He must be.
We were talking about this in Chat Select. The Annie Callista synergy is incredible. That combo is just so powerful. And now Annie 5-0.
And that happened exactly how Adam said it would. Callista ulted, hit one person, Annie pops out, steps forward, lands the 2-man ultimate. And man, this Annie's going to be so strong.
I don't think he wants to take this fight, though. That's a bit dangerous for him.
Yeah.
Especially with Sir Noble there to back him up.
Yeah, I mean, again, not something you usually save for support, but this Annie is going to be so scary heading into the mid game.
Yeah, Extra Tricky has that completed Hurricane, by the way, so going to be working probably on the Blade of the Roof King now. Going to be doing a lot of damage across the team with this build. Just going to be able to get those run stacks down really efficiently.
And I think, Adam, would you say this time that the bot lane strats are not as extra tricky as they could be? It's a pretty simple strat, actually.
As much as I love... I'm pretty sure that's my fun, just saying.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry Nami didn't get played, and I couldn't use my there's always another minute wave pun.
I think extra trick... Anyways. And be warned, if you watch tomorrow's cast, all you're getting is puns, apparently.
Yeah, we're gonna see Clambassadors trying to siege in the mid lane, but that's, again, their team comp is really bad at that.
Yeah, and it's hard to siege against some of these champions.
Corki and Jace in particular.
Yeah, they're going to be able to wave clear and poke all day, though they are. The Jace is doing fine, but the Corki very far behind at this point, and Hanny is.
Honestly, like Jace by himself is a great siege breaker as long as he doesn't get engaged on. So.
Yeah, but it's hard to engage on the Zyra. Is the key.
Yeah.
Infinite Story and Marvel Chartel continuing to just fight in the top lane.
Oh, Aatroll misses his tippers, actually.
It actually landed.
Oh, it lands on the Corki, but he managed it out first. Marvel Chartel going to go down. Yeah. And unlike last game, this is not as worth because he is not as ahead, and the team is unable to snowball his drawing pressure in the top lane to actually getting objectives. Nearly going really low. They might be able to get mid off of this.
Now, Expatriate really loves these scaling items. Last game with the early Magi, now is
oh my god, are you serious?
So yeah, I was going to say, they Clambassadors actually had nice vision in the topside jungle. However, they somehow Chernobyl managed to sneak around those wards and get in for a gank, which was very well played.
Yeah, I mean, Nocturne
came in from behind. Yeah, but
Nocturne ganks from behind the lane, so
it's
Those are a little bit hard to ward against, but
Expatriate going into Chernobyl. Chernobyl could be in a bit of trouble.
This is the stun. Would have still shielded it anyways.
Yeah, that was just a good defensive spell shield. There's no way for Aatroll to get that.
Oh wow!
Got that damage.
Aatroll might actually get taken down here if he's not careful. Ooh, Expatriate gets down, passes for the flash. Infinite Story does take down Aatroll. That's a shutdown kill for the support. The support, rather.
Burned his flash, but worth it. That's a 500 gold shutdown.
Yeah, Kassadin's flash not going to be worth as much as Annie's flash for sure.
Yeah, Aatroll stepped a bit too far forward to get the stun onto Chernobyl and pay for it.
Yep, and Annie with the distortion boost coming out already, so
I like the movie's distortion.
I like it. I like it too.
Infinite Story and Mars Hotel. We've seen this so many times. Nothing really happens until Chernobyl games. Going to Rift Walk away from.
I don't know. Mars Hotel got a solo kill at one time.
I barely. And Chernobyl predictably coming in. We'll see.
Yeah. He loses vision in the rush, actually. Okay, well.
In on this, I don't think they're gonna get much.
They might actually get killed without the slows.
Trouble,
but he just runs away with his ultimate without even using the ghost. And meanwhile, in the bottom lane, we see Clambassadors actually pick up the dragon, and a little fight breaks out. Yeah, that was a lot of
Marvel Chartel survived.
That was a lot of confusing action going around all over the map, courtesy of direct-to-camera. So let's just take you back in time for a little bit and try to follow the storylines one by one. So now we see Chernobyl with the 500 range Nocturne ultimate to try to lock down Marvel Chartel. Actually, does pretty well. Gets the fear off, then gets the slow. I think they overcommit on this chase on Marvel Chartel, and because Aatroll and Expatriate both in the mid lane, Marvel Chartel gets the run out just barely. And Aatroll and Expatriate picking up a kill each. Meanwhile, some action over the dragon. Let's see how that went.
Dragon, Extra Tricky did pick up the dragon with his. I mean, he can't outsmite him. Just those run stacks.
Ooh, does he actually get the spear? Oh, come on.
However, they did get.
Sorry about direct to camera, guys.
They did get kind of low. They did get kind of low, and Neil was able to pick up a kill.
Yeah. So X-Triggy's gonna do this really cool trick with Ballista. You can oh, he's not actually gonna get that off.
No, but he is going to work on that dragon. He didn't actually get a lot of Bren stacks down.
Not on the dragon.
Yeah, Ligophile and Neil just they had enough damage to take down
they had enough damage to take down.
Extra Tricky actually doing a lot of return damage and did pick up Ligophile on that fight.
Well,
that's actually very good all around the map.
Oh yeah, this is completely worth for Clambassadors. They got the dragon, traded even kills with the dragon, and traded 2 for row up here.
Extra Tricky even made it out. Extra Tricky actually looking for the Bloodthirster instead of the Blade of the Ring. I've seen this a lot too. Yeah. I think I actually prefer the Bloodthirster first. Actually, we often see Callistos build both. However, the key thing is a Bloodthirster will do a lot more damage earlier on in the game. Plus, it's just such a great thing to stack with a Hurricane because you're getting the extra AD down
and the other
extra damage down on everyone. I really like that.
Yeah, and the other thing is you don't really need any more attack speed after the Hurricane for a while.
Also, to be noted, that chase on the Singed is why you don't chase Singed.
Oh my god.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that. I can't even think of anything to say about that. That's textbook, guys.
Up to 8 stacks on that sorely called for Expatriate at this point, so it's definitely efficient.
That's pretty impressive.
Infinite Story Marshall, we've seen this too often.
Oh my.
they're not even...
Oh, but this time the other jungler coming in for the gank now. Let's see how this goes. Lands the Glacial Prison. Yeah, and the Smite. Infinite Story just gonna YOLO away from that. Marlshire is taking a little too much turret damage. Actually goes down. Can Biokubar close this kill with the passive? Yeah, he can.
Yeah, he can. That's overall more gold for them. However, that was a bit of an overcommit from Marlshire to take a lot of damage. And just well played overall by Infinite Story. Managing to juke around for long enough to get that kill on.
And I do think Galactic Trendsetters are playing around the Singed better than they were last game. Last game, they just kind of let him sit in top lane, bully, and farm up. I think honestly, without the jungle pressure this game, he might have been allowed to sit in top lane and bully. Anyways, oh, Atrial baiting out the spell shield. Cernoble gonna go down unless... No.
That was,
wow. Oh, there it is. There's the flash.
Forces 2 flash. Actually, a great grasping grip from Zyra. Without those flashes, they were not going to get that. Expatriate dodges away from the Jace Q, and yeah, you don't want to jump into the Risen into Annie right now. But Infinite Story goes in nicely played.
That was a beautiful
great teleport from Infinite Story coming from behind, and that was perfect.
From downtown!
Yeah, not quite. Marl Chartel looking for something, not going to get anywhere. Nice grasping roots there.
Yeah, that was a really good pincer move by Galactic Trendsetters.
So Corki actually working towards that Triforce finally, going to be very behind getting that item, but it will be a big power spike.
Alright, this power spike is going to be much less impactful than the
However,
power
it
spikes
will get Kneeling Yield back into the game and making some sort of impact on because that is where Corki starts doing damage.
Yep, he is.
Marchatel going in 1v2. I'm not sure this is the fight that he wants. No, he doesn't doing a lot of damage, and that Ignite is going
to go down to that.
No, oh! Beautifully played by Lygophile. Nice Ignite there. Or nice all-in, just doing just enough damage and backing off before he took too many turret shots, letting the Ignite do the work.
Marlshire not quite far enough ahead this game compared to last one to start making those plays.
Looking for that Leslie entrance build, which is actually good on Singed.
It's good on Singed. My only problem with it is that it does not make you nearly as tanky as I feel like you should be on Singed.
That's true. It is a more damagey build, and we saw how tanky he wasn't necessarily in that fight with Lygophile.
Yeah.
Lygophile was able to take him down.
I wonder if Rend works on Zyra plants. That's an experiment for another day.
Wondering how many stacks he has on that Man Immune. I would expect it to upgrade into the Mirror Mana very soon. Oh, 508, so actually still a little ways away.
No, 2/3 of the way there. Jace is pretty good at stacking that, though, especially...
That's true. Biokubar taking a lot of... Oh, they have to be...
Yeah, and I think... Yeah, no, Clambassadors might have to disengage here.
Infinite Story goes too deep.
Expatriate gonna get taken down immediately, though, after getting that kill. Extra tricky. Gonna try to kite around this fight. Gets exhausted. Doesn't take too much damage. Oh, but here's the Callista kiting coming in. He kites around the fight, around the edge. Neely gonna take down Atrial. Biokubar still alive around the side, and Extra Tricky gonna try to get the chase down to 5x5. Barely misses the spear. Gets caught up by the Callista, by the Zyra roots.
Overall, a 3-4-2 in favor of Clambassadors, but that was actually not such a bad result.
Neely might not want this. Yeah, he gets chunked really hard.
Honestly, it's impossible to land shots on
a lot of that fight was Biokubar getting taken down early and not being able to tank for his team as effectively as he would have hoped.
Yeah, however, he did survive that fight.
He did survive that fight, but it prevented him from doing, like, strictly very much.
That fight was won, however, by Clambassadors, and that's where you just see how far ahead Yanni and Callisto Lane has gotten.
Yeah, 6k gold ahead, and I feel like... Yeah, almost all of their gold lead is actually concentrated in that bot lane right now. So that's huge, actually. If they can take out that Annie and Callista early, they've got this.
That wasn't such a bad result from Galactic Trendsetters.
No.
More roughly even fights is what they want, because that will get them back into the game. Every even trade lessens that gold ratio you have.
Right, exactly. When you are behind, you like even trades. Unless they're going to lose you in Tip or Baron or something, but then at that point it's not even. Marl Chartel, actually.
Fair amount of trouble.
Yep, he's going to get taken down.
Yeah. Nice. That was dangerous. I think he knew that Jace was there. He just played a bit too cocky.
Yeah, I think that's the right word right now. He needs more wards and just more attention. Like, I don't think he's paying enough attention to the other team right now. Like, Nocturne ult is going to be up, and with more wards, like, he could have pushed that a little bit more safe.
And the thing is, as long as they keep getting the fix, he just isn't tanky enough to be creating that same map pressure.
Yeah, that's the main problem right now. And I think I do hope he goes for a little bit more of a tank build after Raditz increase.
Looks like the dragon has been started by Expatriate and Bio Pouvoir.
Jace is really good at poking people on dragon though, so this is actually kind of a dangerous situation.
Dangerous. I would expect the Nocturne ult maybe to contest this. We'll see. They don't have the positioning.
Yeah, the problem is you need vision for Nocturne ult to work.
Yeah, also Infinite Story was not very close, so it was only 4.
Infinite Story going deep into the backline. Annie getting pulled by Kalista, but Kalista going down immediately. Annie gonna pop out of that Kalista ultimate. Gets the 3-man Timbers actually. This turns around the fight slightly in favor of Clambassadors, but in the end, this is still going to be a one fight by Galactic Trendsetters. Yeah. Oh, wow. Going down to the Ignite, actually. Jeez.
That was actually an even trade somehow.
Yeah, Marl Chantel now going to come in.
Out. I don't think he can
He doesn't have his Ghost.
Yeah, I don't think he can get this.
His ultimate's going to be up in a second now. Well, he might be able to get fired by fight. He does a lot of damage right now. That is one thing his build does do.
That's true. That was an even fight. The dragon did go to Clambassadors, so slight advantage for them. However, another even trade in the fight.
Wow.
I cannot. That was an incredible Tiber.
I cannot believe Aatroll survived that. The presence of mind he must have had to knock up one person and jump back, Tibbers immediately and does not die.
That was such a good Tibbers.
Yeah, that was OP.
Perfect Tibbers. 3 men caught out. He was about to go down, but he got 3 people with that stun, which is completely what turned around that fight. That fight was going so well for Galactic Trendsetters.
Even picking up a kill on the backside on Liger.
2 kills, actually. Oh, man. That was a double for the Annie. That is a scary, scary Annie.
At this point, I'm feeling like you should have just done some Machais.
Seriously.
But wow, that was some incredible support Annie play, guys. This is how you're supposed to play support Annie. Maybe not with 10 kills, maybe with like 5 kills or something, but like, man, that... I'm impressed. I'm really impressed right now.
And somehow Aatroll even survived. I have no idea.
Oh my god. But we do see the Lagophile's poke doing a lot now. Like Aatroll down that much health with just 1 accelerated shock blast.
Jason Corky together, we see this a lot in OGN. Together, those 2 champions provide a lot of poke, and Neil does finally have that Triforce and working on a Blade of the Routine, which is pretty common. I think this is a good idea here. The Singed has a lot of health. You need to be able to take that down a little bit.
Well, people tend to forget that Jace has actually a large amount of percentage damage as well.
That's true. His melee form E, the knockback.
It's 20% max health magic damage.
Ooh, the Jace, I like this build. That is an Essence Reaper on the Jace. Infinite Story and a lot of
Story gonna rip block out. Firebat Pie getting a pretty good grasping roots down, actually.
Yeah, nice grasping roots.
Marl Chantel not gonna take a lot of damage, but wow, extra tricky. Extra Tricky knows his limits on Kalista, going deep, getting a kill, actually.
Yeah, he just jumped away from the Zyre ult when he had to, and that was...
Ooh, gets hit by the Shock Blast.
Infinite Story in a lot of trouble now. That's the...
Yeah, Infinite Story is not going to go down, but he's not going to be back to defend the turret. Aatroll getting thrown into turret range for the difference. What a move! What a move, guys. This is the power of Kalista Annie, guys.
That was such a good play by Aatroll and another well-deserved kill for Aatroll. Aatroll does go down there, but entirely worth it, and Marl Chantel is going to be in a lot of trouble here. Neil not going to go down to that poison. However,
oh my god, he flashes.
Somehow, he forced the flash out. Neil is going to go down otherwise.
Yeah. Honestly, and that's the Clambassadors need to start the Baron. Like, guys, this... Clambassadors showing that they have a very, very good idea of how to play support Annie here. Because as Annie, once you've exhausted your first stun, you are effectively useless unless you can get another stun up. And after you get a second stun, you're not going to be alive for long enough to get the third one. And that Annie had like 100 health anyway, so toss the Annie in, get the stun off, and just clean up after. That might have seemed like a really weird use of Kalista, but that was actually perfectly done.
Yeah, and because Annie didn't hit anyone, she didn't get knocked back to auto attack range, so was easily positioned for that Tibbers. And yeah, see, that's usually if you don't have a lot of kills on Annie. Your whole idea in the team fight is you use your cooldowns and then you absorb damage and die.
Yeah, that's honestly, even if you do have a lot of kills on Annie, your burst is gonna do so much in a team fight.
Yeah.
And you're just not gonna have that up for a while. And if the enemy team focuses you, that's
all more the better because your carries aren't. Well, I guess your support Kalista is not getting focused.
The support Kalista has 200 CS and is 4-1, so that's still a considerable threat.
The Kalista will be putting out a lot of DPS static shiv on top of that Bloodthirster. Now working on a last Whisper, I'm assuming.
Yeah, but that was just a sick Kalista Annie play. Like That was really cool. I'm so happy to be casting this game, Adam.
Yeah, me too. I'm loving this close to end lane. It is working so many wonders. Not over yet, however, big lead for Clambassadors.
Wow, almost 10k gold up, actually.
Now, the Kassadin will continue scaling up. The Corki does have a couple items now, so going to be able to do a little bit of damage.
Yeah,
despite being kept so far behind.
But Neil actually going to fall extremely far behind in CS. Started the game about 30 CS behind, now almost 70.
And this all stemmed from the
fact wow, Marl Chartel draws the aggro of 5 people. Look at this Clambassadors going to steamroll up the bot lane. Biopuvar doesn't... Oh, the minion wave's there, but they could have tanked it without the minion wave. Extra tricky with a lot of attacks, but you're going to shred down that turret really, really quickly.
This
oh,
time,
wow.
Marl Chartel doing the job perfectly.
Yes, this is exactly what he wanted to do this time.
Somehow tanking enough to survive the 5-man roam squad, and that's a free hit.
Yep.
That is how you use the Singe.
Yeah, that's how you want to use the split pusher. And honestly, Galactic Trendsetters overcommitting to that Singe a little bit. You don't necessarily have to kill him. You just have to shove him out for long enough so that you can get your lane pushing. And off of this dead inhib, Clambassadors rotates right back to the dragon. It's going to be, I think, their 4th stack.
Yeah, that's their 4th dragon. So that's as much as it stacks up. If they get that 5th dragon, you can assume that they're just going to close the game from there.
Yeah.
It's just really hard. And they also have a Baron right now. They're just going to be shoving every lane really hard. They can set up a nice 4-1 split push, Singe in the top lane, going to create pressure there. And if you respond to the Singe, then you can't deal with the mid lane split push.
Biopuvar...
Not split push, normal push.
Biopuvar has been favoring the Sidespawn Gauntlet build.
Yeah, and
I like it.
Fault it.
No, I like it. I like it here.
Yeah. It's just very much a utility build on Sejuani, which is what they need. That Sidestone for the Vision, which I really love. And look at that line of boards, too.
Yeah.
And Marl Chartel probably going to pick up that.
Yeah, Marl Chartel not good.
I don't see how they can deal with this. Biopuvar going in. Cerno will now need to be careful. Extra tricky to keep farming. Yeah, Marl Chartel.
That's good. That's what he needs to do.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you do when Annie carries. You let your Annie carry while you just farm. That's
well, I mean, wouldn't you say that Callista's carrying the Annie because, like, the Annie's getting tossed into the
I thought I was the king of that concept. And Marl Chartel does actually pick up that turret, unsurprisingly. Baron buff has worn down at this point. That being said, I don't know what can be done to defend the turret. Marl Chartel
going very low now.
5-4 only lands result in 1 person. This might be an overcommit from the Clambassadors. However, they are starting to clean up this fight. Extra Tricky just doing so much work, just jumping around.
And I mean, oh wow.
And that
gets the Callista ultimate off. I mean, here you see, even with a less than optimal engage, their gold lead is really starting to take effect here.
Yeah, that was not a very good engage. 5-4 only getting results on 1 person, and Marl Chartel just going way too far into this team. However, at the end of the day, X-Patriot and Extra Tricky doing so much damage, able to clean up, and GG, that is the game. Well played, Clambassadors. Clambassadors taking 3rd place in this tournament with a 2-0.
Yeah, very, very well played by Clambassadors.
That bot lane, well played early game, and great job snowballing that into a giant lead.
Yeah, I mean, my honest opinion is that the Gronk was definitely not worth at level 1.
Yeah, and it's amazing how such a small thing leads into such a
can snowball a game completely out of control. I mean, this 12-4 Annie with a Morellonomicon and a Needless. Wow.
Yeah, again, Annie not the support you want to get fed.
Yeah, I would like to point out, guys, he did end up building a Sidestone in the end in case any of you solo queue support players were getting any ideas from this.
And they had great vision throughout, always with a nice
they had very good vision. So if you do go AP on your supports, please build Sidestone.
Yep.
Like, please. It's
actually use it, too.
Yes, thanks, Adam. Thank you. For that crucial piece of information here. But yeah, really, this first game was won probably off of Marl Chartel's Singe push. This game was won just by the bot lane snowballing and rotating properly. Yeah, I mean, very overall solid play coming in from Clambassadors, and a very, very well deserved 2-0 for this series.
All right. Well, thank you for watching, and come back tomorrow for the finals, casted by Ben and Damon.
Yep.
I think.